In September 2025, China's government stunned the world by ordering its tech giants, like ByteDance and Alibaba, to stop buying AI chips from US companies, especially Nvidia. This wasn't a suggestion, it was a direct command, escalating the US-China tech conflict into a full-blown technological Cold War. The ban goes far beyond computer parts, it's a pivotal moment in the global balance of power. For years, the US dominated advanced semiconductor design and manufacturing, powering everything from smartphones to military tech. By banning these chips, Beijing signaled it would no longer depend on its main rival for critical technology. The order targeted Nvidia's export-compliant chips, designed to skirt previous US restrictions. China's message-limited access is no longer acceptable. Instead, Beijing is betting on its own domestic capabilities, accelerating efforts to break free from American tech dominance. The timing is no accident. China's semiconductor industry is making real progress. The ban is both a defensive and offensive move, forcing Chinese firms to align with national goals and cutting off a multi-billion-dollar market for US companies. The once integrated global tech landscape is fracturing along geopolitical lines. The consequences of this seismic shift are just beginning to unfold. China's chip ban is the result of years of rising tensions and a drive for self-reliance. National security is at the core. Chinese leaders fear US chips could be used for espionage or cyber attacks. This anxiety peaked in July 2025 when China launched a security probe into Nvidia's H20 chip. The ban is also retaliation for years of US export controls aimed at stalling China's tech rise. From Beijing's view, these moves weren't just about security, they were attempts to contain China's growth. By banning US chips, China is showing it can hit back economically. Another motive breaking what it sees as an American monopoly. US firms, especially Nvidia, have dominated the high-end AI chip market, giving them huge power. Now China is creating a protected market for its own chipmakers, pushing for technological sovereignty. Billions have been invested in domestic semiconductors, and the ban forces Chinese companies to adopt homegrown solutions. It's a risky but calculated step toward full independence in critical tech. China's ban would be hollow without strong domestic alternatives, and that's where Huawei and Alibaba come in. Huawei, long targeted by US sanctions, is now leading China's self-sufficiency push. At a Shanghai conference, Huawei's Eric Xu announced plans for the world's most powerful computing system and new advanced chips by 2028. Its Ascend 910B chip is already positioned as a rival to Nvidia for AI training. Forced to innovate by US restrictions, Huawei has become a symbol of Chinese resilience. While not yet matching Nvidia's top chips, China is closing the gap by linking thousands of domestic chips for massive processing power. Alibaba's chip unit, Pingtuj, has also made headlines with a new chip that outperforms some Nvidia models in key metrics. This progress sent Alibaba's shares soaring and reduces its reliance on foreign suppliers. Now, Chinese tech firms have real government-backed alternatives to US chips. China is building a parallel tech ecosystem from silicon to software, ready to power its digital future. The ambitions are real and the products are here. The Chinese ban hit Silicon Valley hard, especially Nvidia, which relied on China for a big chunk of its revenue. CEO Jensen Huang had warned that losing China would be a huge blow, and now it's reality. Even before the ban, US export rules forced Nvidia to make weaker chips for China, slashing its market share. Nvidia's latest report showed zero sales of its new China-compliant chip, as buyers turned away. The financial hit is massive. Billions in lost revenue for Nvidia, AMD, and Intel. Less revenue means less R&D, threatening America's tech edge as Chinese firms catch up. The era of mutual benefit is over. The tech conflict is now about supremacy. US companies must rethink supply chains, seek new markets, and align with national security goals. The risk of being cut off from major markets overnight is now a reality. The global tech order is being rewritten, and US firms are scrambling to adapt. The stakes have never been higher for American innovation. The world is watching how Silicon Valley responds. China's chip ban sparked a fierce war of words between Washington and Beijing. In the US, leaders called it proof of China's unfair trade practices and intellectual property theft. House Speaker Mike Johnson labeled China an adversary, blaming Beijing for the deteriorating relationship. This reflects a bipartisan consensus. America must get tougher to protect its interests. The White House had tried to balance chip sales with national strategy, but China's ban made compromise impossible. In Beijing, officials framed the ban as a defensive move against U.S. tech dominance. State media called U.S. export controls economic bullying, and the ban a patriotic act of defiance. This narrative rallies public support and justifies short-term pain for long-term gain. The diplomatic clash reveals a deep divide. The U.S. sees China as breaking global rules, while China sees those rules as Western tools for control. The chip ban is now a key battleground in a larger ideological struggle. Technology sits at the heart of this widening rift. The economic fallout from China's chip ban is massive and will reshape both countries' tech industries. For U.S. firms, the immediate loss is access to the world's biggest chip market, billions in annual revenue gone. This threatens their ability to fund next-gen innovation, potentially slowing progress. Chinese companies face short-term disruption, forced to use domestic chips that may lag behind. This could hurt their global competitiveness and raise costs. But Beijing is betting that short-term pain will lead to long-term gain, a self-sufficient chip industry. By guaranteeing a huge domestic market, China is fueling investment and innovation. If successful, China could become a global chip exporter, creating a rival tech bloc. The world will feel the ripple effects. Countries and companies may have to pick sides, raising costs and fragmenting supply chains. The era of a single globalized tech market is ending, and the true costs are only starting to emerge. China's ban is accelerating the split of the global tech market. For decades, tech was global. Chips designed in the US, made in Asia, assembled in China, sold worldwide. Now the US-China tech war is forcing two separate spheres, one led by America, the other by China. Companies and countries may have to choose sides, complicating business for global giants like Apple. Supply chains will be reconfigured, and companies may need different products for different markets, losing efficiency. This decoupling could create a splinter net, fragmented, walled-off networks with competing standards. International standards for 5G, Wi-Fi and AI are at risk, threatening interoperability and raising costs. Nations face tough choices: align with the US for advanced tech or with China for access to its market and infrastructure. Many will try to stay neutral, but pressure from both sides is mounting. The global tech market, once a symbol of integration, is now a battleground for geopolitical competition. The future of technology will be shaped by this new divide. The big question: can China truly catch up to the US in advanced chips? The challenge is huge. The US and allies still lead in cutting-edge design and manufacturing. Building a world-class chip industry takes decades, expertise, and global networks China is still developing. But China's determination is fierce, backed by massive state funding and political will. By forcing domestic adoption, China guarantees a market for its chipmakers, fueling rapid progress. While single-chip performance still lags, China's strategy of clustering chips is closing the gap. If China succeeds, US leverage through export controls will fade, and China could become a major tech exporter. This would create a truly multipolar tech world, ending American dominance. The race is on, and the outcome will shape global power for generations. The era of a single American-led tech order is over. What comes next is being decided right now.